Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. So I was extremely hyped about this film. The first time I saw it, I had mixed feelings about it. And the second time I saw it, I liked it a lot more. So I'm going to break down why I feel that way. First off, I love the opening sequence. It's some of my favorite action in the movie. I love it being timed to bye, 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 and having the sequence with the actual skeleton of Wolverine being used by Ryan Reynolds. It actually felt like one of the most similar type of feels of a scene to the original two Deadpool movies. I think what happened the first time I saw this film is that you realize the first 15 minutes of the movie is all things you've seen in the trailers, except obviously the Happy Hogan scene. But it kind of felt like you were watching a rerun in that sense. So I had to forget about that on my second watch and bring the hype down in my head as well. And I enjoyed it a lot more. And also, there's a little bit of the TVA jargon you have to get through in the beginning. And once you understand everything that's going on timeline wise, it's a lot more enjoyable as well. And they do the classic Deadpool type opening where they start somewhere and work their way back around very effectively. But the movie immediately starts picking up the pace once obviously Logan gets in the picture. Now, my favorite thing about this film is I believe Hugh Jackman gave an Oscar worthy performance in a superhero movie. Now, this has been said before about Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in Endgame, which is definitely deserving of that. But this even took it another level for me. And it really was shown in the scene he had with Daphne Keene when they are near the fire. And he is talking about what happened in his past to her, and him showing the guilt on his face was incredible. Like, blew me away. And that's the scene that really stuck with me the most after seeing the film. And I was really impressed that Hugh Jackman gave 150%. So he did not disappoint, especially because he's already done so many Logan films and already did a great one in Logan. So for him able to still do this character and always change it up a little bit and still make it great and fresh is so much props to Hugh Jackman. And he crushed it here. And in relation to that, I think that one of my favorite things about the film was actually everything going on Logan's storyline, his past, and coming to grips with his past, beating his guilt, and still knowing he's worthy to be a hero. And I really like that came full circle when he also came full circle as a character where he decided not to kill Nova and he brings up Charles when he wanted him to. And that was that nice connection to the X-Men. Now, on the other side of that, I think the weakest part of this film was actually Wade Wilson's struggle here of trying to have purpose, wanting to be an Avenger. I think it was a little kind of rushed and having these little moments we see with him and his girlfriend and now losing her, it just didn't hit as hard as Wolverine's story, especially in that final scene where they're together making the ultimate sacrifice and thinking about their past and coming to terms with it. That was the one part of the story that just felt that it needed a little more work in the script. That's what made me a little worried too, is when the movie started that there was 5 writers on it as well. But I think as this movie, if you watch it again, I think it's way better on a second watch. And I also think that it is just a little bit better than number two. Number two was my favorite. I think because this film had the best third act compared to the other two films. Because I think with both other two films of Deadpool, they had weak third acts. Now, I think it was so clever they had Chris Evans in this film. I can't believe they kept that wrapped up. And what always gets the biggest shock out of the audience, I think hit so well, was thinking it was Captain America and then remembering that he was Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four in the Fox universe. So when he did Flame On, even Deadpool's thinking it's Captain America, that was one of the best crowd pleasing moments I've seen in a Marvel film in a long time. I loved it. What got the biggest applause and was really shocked me and I was blown away was Blade being in this film. I did not expect that. I also love the humor they do with Wesley Snipes and him saying he's the only Blade and the only Blade that ever will be. And then Ryan Reynolds looking right at the camera was perfect because that's exactly what Wesley Snipes would say in public, something like that. And that Ryan Reynolds can look at that because we know a Blade movie's coming out with Mahershala Ali. So I thought that was absolutely hysterical. And the action with Blade was really good. I do wish we saw the fangs come out. That was a little disappointing we didn't. I don't think Elektra was all that necessary or the most interesting character to bring in the group. I think she was the weakest link and didn't really have any great action. I also thought that it was amazing seeing X-23 and Daphne Keene is awesome, and I want to see her keep playing this role. She grew into this part, and she might as well just play X-23 in the MCU. But I do think her action could have been better. She didn't have great action moments like she did in Logan. Now, Channing Tatum, complete shock doing Gambit, and we know that there was supposed to be a Gambit movie, and it was his dream to play Gambit, so he got to play him here, which was really cool. And at first, I thought it was maybe too much going the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like wild cameos with it, but then on second watch, I actually really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed seeing a Gambit that was comic accurate and actually having awesome action with Gambit for the first time. So I thought he did a decent job. I don't want to see him as Gambit again, but I think it makes sense for this film, especially being Deadpool, and it can be a humorous cameo that's addressing that these things that didn't really go to plan or weren't actually great be shown in this film. And I thought seeing Channing Tatum play Gambit was really funny, and actually really fun though, because the action of it paid off and that Deadpool kept making fun of him. So I think that really worked. Now, Cassandra Nova, I was pleasantly surprised how great of a villain. I was a little worried how she was in the trailers, but I thought she was a great villain here. I thought Emma Corrin was excellent in their portrayal of Cassandra Nova, the way they could have made that really corny and over the top, and they didn't. And it was a cool connection to Charles, and I like she did all the finger stuff, and that she even mentioned she can't do what Charles does from afar. She has to actually put their fingers into that. Now, another criticism I have of the film, where I think what keeps it from being great than just pretty good, is that there was these moments here when Deadpool's looking for a Logan, and I love when he sees the small Logan and the comic accurate one we all want, right? And he sees Henry Cavill. And the thing that really got my audience going nuts was when we saw the brown and yellow suit. I know for me, it gave me chills, and then the Hulk appearing. Those kind of moments, especially with the Hulk, I'd actually like to see that play out. And I thought this film would have more moments where they're not in the void or in one set, and that it's more expanded where they go. I think this film struggled in just being so much in one location and feeling so much like sets that it was a little frustrating, that part. I thought there'd be more places we see Deadpool Wolverine, and you have such a clever idea to go there with the Hulk. Let that moment happen for a little bit. That would be really awesome. I think I just want a little more of that to make this film great and really memorable. I do like the dog pool stuff, and I kind of don't like the dog pool stuff. It's cute, but it's really not that funny in my opinion. But I also think too, with the Deadpool corpse, that also felt a little bizarre how it was kind of just wedged in there, especially as the final battle sequence when they weren't actually the main antagonists. So it was a little kind of forced in there for me, but it's still enjoyable. And it was cool. Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool. I wish we actually saw her face, maybe with all the scarring. I think that would have been really cool, or as even a cool as another post-credit scene, even because I don't think a lot of people even realized it was Blake Lively. You know, it's hard to just recognize a voice like that. That's the whole part of the joke. So I'm surprised we didn't see her face in some form, but I still think there were so many sharp Deadpool lines that were so funny, and I think that the chemistry between him and Hugh Jackman was excellent, having that buddy cop feel. I really like the moment when they fight in the car, not actually even because of the fighting, because of the acting of Hugh Jackman there when he really unleashes on the selfishness of Deadpool. I think the needle drops are pretty good. I wish they didn't use Living on a Prayer in the trailers in the same exact scene. I wish they would have switched that up so we weren't expecting it so much. So that was a little frustrating. But I did like the closing moments. I did like the closing sacrifice. I liked Matthew McFadden's performance as Paradox. And I really like this thing they have hanging on about Thor crying over Deadpool. And I think it's interesting that they don't really start the MCU like getting them in that universe, which I thought was a little odd, and that they're still in the Fox universe of Deadpool and Logan, but they can obviously just have them appear in anything now, especially Deadpool. But it did feel unearned in a little bit of a way that they had the montage at the end in the credits about all the Fox X-Men when we barely see the Fox X-Men in this movie. So I thought it was like this love letter closing that door, but I feel like we've already kind of closed that door. So that was a little just off to me. Now, I wish we got more exciting post-credit, but as funny post-credits go, it's such a great payoff with Chris Evans actually saying those things that Deadpool said to Cassandra Nova that said about him and why he got fried. I thought that was actually hysterical, but I do wish we got something a little more exciting as a post-credit scene. But overall, I think that this film was a solid entry into the MCU, and I think just by like a 0.1, I think this is better than Deadpool 2 for me, and much better than Deadpool 1, because I think Deadpool 1 is just a really weak third act. But I'm going to give this one an 8.7, and I think it could have been amazing if they just expanded a little more in different areas, didn't have so much looking of sets that they were on and green screen, and that they could have been a little more better writing with Deadpool's character, even towards some of the end of the second and the third act. He kind of almost disappears his storyline in the film. But again, I think there were some really good cameos here and really good action. And I'm hoping that we'll get on soon to the new X-Men team eventually, because they make fun of the multiverse and all the variants in this film. And it's true. Like, it's all multiverse, all stuff. And we see with the panel with Marvel that there's even more coming. So I hope they get on with that soon and get to like an official new X-Men team like they're doing with the Fantastic Four. I really want to see that and just be ready for the future now and kind of chill out with all these different variants. But I think this was a really good movie. I'm giving it an 8.7. Funny, action's great, and come on, Hugh Jackman blew me away here. And Ryan Reynolds is as witty and funny as he usually is, and he's always enjoyable and gives 100%. And Sean Levy did a pretty damn good job. He's always been one of my favorite directors from Stranger Things episodes. He also did the Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds on Netflix, which was really good. But I don't know how much I'm sold yet on his action sequences in directing. I still think even that could be a little better to make this film great, because sometimes they overdid just Wolverine, Deadpool fighting each other and just bludgeoning each other to death. I think they could have been a little more clever in that department as well. But I know I'm saying a lot of criticisms, but again, I still really enjoyed this film, and it makes me excited for what's next in the MCU, and I think it's going to obviously bring a lot of people back into the MCU, and that's the magic of just anything X-Men related as well. So let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button so you'll miss one of my reviews of all things X-Men related. I do X-Men interviews as well, and you can check out my regular channel, Steve Varley Show, for interviews I do for all movies and movie reviews and TV reviews there as well. And I'll see you next time.